Hey there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. I'm your host, Patsun, and today we're gonna be taking a look at r/cheating stories, where OP exposed a pair of cheaters to everyone they know. Let's begin. Is my wife having an emotional affair? Posted by Reddit user Bobson Dugnut.
I have a good marriage but with normal challenges. We have two boys under 10, both with behavioral issues, and neither of us are happy in our jobs at the moment. My wife lost her dad a couple of years ago, and that was a difficult time for the whole family. We have a good group of parent friends who we see regularly in groups, playdates, dinner, etc. My wife has been in a local group in our town since she was a child, and it was a hobby she shared with her parents. One of our friends is also in the group. Let's call him Bill. Bill is a really good guy. I get on really well with him too, and we have lots of shared interests. I hang out with Bill from time to time as well, playing board and video games. My wife has always had lots of male friends, and by and large it doesn't cause a problem. There's been a couple of times over the years, we've been together for 20 years, where alcohol has meant they got a bit too flirty, but all handled appropriately. I've never had an issue with her and Bill. He doesn't drink much and isn't a flirt. There are also 3 or 4 guys in the hobby group that she's really good friends with, as they have been doing it for a few years, work well together, and enjoy doing pub quizzes and karaoke. They're a mix of ages, and honestly the only thing I'm jealous about usually is that I have to stay home to look after the kids instead of doing the quiz with them. So Bill isn't the only guy friend she has in that group. Bill also lost his dad recently and asked for some talks with my wife, given she has experienced the same loss. Again, totally fine and understandable. The last few months it just seems that they are leaning on each other a lot more. They text a lot and are obviously very close. Last night they met in a bar to discuss a project for the hobby group and have a moan about various things. That's pretty normal, but Bill talked to my wife about his upcoming vasectomy, how nervous he is, etc. There were also pictures of them singing together at a karaoke bar, sharing the microphone where he has his hand round her waist, which made me uncomfortable. My gut tells me this is all nothing, and I'm just jealous because there are times when I want more of a connection with my wife. We aren't as intimate with each other as we used to be, that's for sure. But I'm also not sure there's many guys who would talk to female friends about their vasectomy, though maybe we should. They're both good people, and I'm absolutely certain there's nothing physical going on. But does this class as an emotional affair? When does friendship cross that line? I'm worried that if I say anything I'll tarnish their friendship and my own relationship with both of them. I firmly believe men and women can be friends without it being sexual, but I don't currently have any women friends where the relationship is as deep as this, and I'm not sure my wife would be as comfortable if it were me. What do I do? Reddit. Edit. Just to add, I do get nights out of my own and have hobbies too. We don't do date nights as often as I'd like, and that's probably feeding into how I feel about this. I also think separate interests, a bit of space and trust are really important in relationships. But I think my insecurities about the spark and excitement in our own relationship is influencing how I view her friendships, and I need to work out how I feel about that before I try to raise this, or it could make things worse.
Yeah, bonding over past trauma, discussing his vasectomy and why he's scared, meeting at the bar and singing duets together. OP, obviously some sexual connotations there. In my opinion, we've crossed way into emotional affair territory. Possibly even sexual. OP, Bill is not your friend. He's a wolf in sheep's clothing. But hey, at least you got to know your wife's new boyfriend. And now for today's second story. My ex cheated on me with my childhood best friend. Posted by Reddit user Bao1511.
So here's my story about how I lost the love of my life, C, and my best friend, J, all in one day. It all started when I met C in grade 5, and I had a crush on her for years, never gaining the confidence to talk to her or anything, as I was just figuring out these feelings. Plus I knew I was an introvert from the beginning, barely having any real friends besides a small group of 4. One of them being my best friend, Jay. We did everything a kid could do together, go camping, something I didn't like but was fun with him, play video games, board games, sleepovers, all those things, and thought of him as a brother. It was he who had the courage to add her to our friend group. We grew closer as we got older. It was only in grade 9 that me and C were starting to get closer as friends. During high school, when we were both in grade 10, I finally gained the courage to ask C out, and to my surprise and happiness, she said yes. Our first date was amazing as I took her out to her favorite restaurant, which wasn't really expensive but did have a big bill. Then we went skating as she has always loved that, and that was one of the best memories I've ever had. Over the next 4 years, we had the best relationship, or at least what I thought was the best. It was only during year 3 of our relationship that C wanted to go the next level, and so did I, but I was just so nervous about it that I never realized what was happening between my girlfriend and best friend until it was too late. I was also stressed from the SATs that I didn't have enough time to spend with her either. It all came to a screeching halt when I not only passed my SATs that my nervousness about having sex went away with the letter, and I walked to her apartment to tell her the great news. I entered the elevator to go to her floor and walked to her door when I noticed it was open slightly, and so in a panic, I opened the door myself, not thinking straight and thinking she was in trouble, but found nothing. I walked around the apartment, but eventually I noticed the trail of clothes leading up to her bedroom door. If those weren't obvious, then the moans and screams of pleasure were. That was until I noticed a jacket on the ground, the very same one I gave Jay on his 18th birthday. I saw only red when I thought that and barged into her room, where they were both shocked at my interruption. But C soon screamed in terror as I pulled Jay off of her and started beating him. I was never a violent person growing up, but this rage and betrayal turned me into someone I hope I could never be again. It's been 2 weeks since I caught Jay and C together, and I have been ignoring every message they sent me, every call and voicemail they made, and have even ignored their family's attempts at getting me to speak to them. I couldn't stand to be in the same room with them anymore. Every time I think of them, I just remember that day when I caught them. Hope you guys have any advice about what I should do next with them, because I don't. And now, for OP's update. So here's my update on my situation. Sorry this took a bit, but I decided to just look at the future for myself now after everything that's happened. So, on to the update. As many of you pointed out, I had to get the truth about our breakup out before the two of them vilified me. To my and possibly your surprise, they didn't say anything about me, but they also didn't out themselves. The two of them kept quiet about the whole thing, and I couldn't stand that, watching as if nothing happened between the three of us. So, I contacted as many of our mutual friends as I could to tell them. Some believed me, others thought I was in the wrong, and a few were indifferent. But all looked at Jay and C differently after that day, as I had many details of what they did while those pieces of shit fucked. After I outed the two of them, I realized I needed to get away from the city. I lived here my whole life, but I had to get away. I just couldn't stand being close to C and Jay anymore. I was simply getting boxes of my stuff ready to move when I could, and I heard a knock at the door, and wouldn't you know, C was standing right outside. Her eyes are just bloodshot and looks like she hasn't slept in days. I barely opened it for her anyways, so I just rudely asked, "What are you doing here?" 'Cause I'm not about to be gracious towards her, and never will again. She asked to be let in to talk for a minute, and I decided to do so, but not to take her back, to just hear the excuses I know she'll come up with. She started to cry, asking for forgiveness, and wanted to explain why she did what she did. I kept a straight face and didn't say a word while she was speaking. She told me how she felt neglected because of the lack of sex between us, which I guess is true. She went on to say that Jay comforted her, and slowly began to fall for him as the days went on, and one thing led to another, and I had caught them soon after they became physical. After she was done, I told her that if she fell for Jay, all she had to tell me was that she wanted to break up, and I would have accepted them getting together afterwards. But they didn't do so. Instead, I saw my first love in bed with my best friend. I told her I was moving away after this, that I couldn't stand being in the city anymore with C and J or their family, but I didn't tell her where, because I don't want her to follow me. I saw the tears flowing even faster as she heard that. Yes, she thought that we could reconcile after what happened. Well, sorry C, but I got other plans than to take you back. After that, I just held onto her hand. She gained a hopeful look in her eyes and led her to the door before pushing her out. She turned towards me, pure sadness in her eyes. "I'll never love you again. Go back to Jay. I'm sure he'll be happy to accept you fully. After all, he already did so." I slammed the door in her face after that and heard her crying outside, but didn't care and just continued to relax and back to my stuff. As for Jay, well, never bothered with him again, didn't speak to him, didn't respond to any of his messages, nothing. I'm done with them, and nothing will change that. So that's my update. Nothing too big, but hey, don't really care right now to make this my whole life story. So goodbye and have a nice day.
Amazing update, OP. You are doing the right thing, even when it's difficult. This is what a man with a solid spine does. Best of luck to you, and I hope that you find true happiness soon. Viewer support is the best way for me to remain independent and continue bringing you these daily videos, which will always be here on my channels for you to watch absolutely free. So please consider subscribing to me on Rumble and on YouTube. Both will be linked in the description box down below. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you even somewhat enjoyed today's story, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and if you really like it, consider subscribing to Pattsun to never miss a future upload. Stay strong.